Morning, Mike. David Moore, Dallas Morning News.
Good to see you. You got some rest?
You too. Oh, yeah.
Combed your hair?
Good. Yeah. Watched it too.
Well, that's too much
When you're talking about, tailoring kind of your practices to what the depth chart is, but along with that, a guy like Guyton and BB who are transitioning to different positions here. Do you build time into these practices for them to work on that, or is that all off on their own and not part of this?
Yeah, that's more on their own with the position coach. I think like today, we'll transition more into we're going to practice in helmets today where we didn't yesterday. It was more of a walkthrough. So we're really trying to expose them to the type of drills that we're going to do when the veterans that they move in with the veterans on Monday. Because next week we'll still have phase 2 work where we won't be in helmets. So we feel like we've accomplished that Thursday night and Friday. So today we're going to actually do a normal, as much as we can with the numbers, practice format so they can see the evolution of what's going to come at them come OTAs.
Clarence Hill, four-star program. A couple of things. On BB's transition to center, how tough is the shotgun snap, and how do you get him doing that? I mean,
yeah, Darren, it's skill development. Shotgun snap is fine motor skill. Whatever sport you want to go through. I mean, there's things that you can work on, whether it's a foul shot, snapping, and so it's something that requires a lot of reps. And I think it's interesting to hear him talk about getting ready last week to come here, and it's just nothing like family. So it's good that he was able to practice that. But he just needs reps. The biggest thing with the shotgun snap and snapping as a whole is really getting accustomed to the footwork you're being asked to use at the center position, whether you're an outside zone team or mid zone team or inside zone, because a lot of times you see it early in the progression of a center. When you're stepping hard left, the ball can go right or vice versa. So just those types of things. And frankly, we've been going through the same thing with TJ. So anytime and I've been part of a lot of centers that that have come from other positions. We did that up in Green Bay a number of times. With guys, because we believe in the tackle body type. So, and Cooper definitely has that. So, and he's looked good so far. So I've been impressed.
Todd Archer with ESPN. He's not here, but Jake Ferguson, the year that he had last year, what do you do to challenge him now, after he's had that kind of season, to do it again?
I mean, there's so much more. I mean, Jake has so much more to give. Just starting in the weight room, bigger, faster, stronger. I think just like anything, you see a normal progression of a young player. You go from playing 25 plays a game to playing, 46, 48 plays a game. And, Woody Wade at the beginning of the year was, definitely different than Woody Wade at the end of the year. So, it's just like as they progress throughout their careers, just to be able to, handle the workload capacity. So, that's something that we've really been focused on, and in the work he's doing in the weight room reflects that too. So, because you want these younger players to handle the weight. A lot of them they have a hard time, putting it on and keeping it on. So that's for one. And I think clearly if you look at him from year 1 to 2, he was, there's a lot of things that he did in the run game, and which he benefited from with the reps in the action pass game. So to continue to build off of that, and and then I thought he did a really nice job in the drop back phase of it too. So just keep expanding his roles, giving him more opportunities. But yeah, he's got a lot of room for growth.
You think you'll see more attention from defenses this year with what he did?
Hope not. No, I hope not. No, but I think that's part of it. Yes, definitely. I just think just use CD. Look at CD's path. He's, there weren't too many games where coverage wasn't tilted towards him, or situational football that he was doubled. So, they can only double two players. So that's that just do the mathematics of it. So it's definitely something that we look at and make sure they're prepared for that.
John Machota with The Athletic. What's it like having Ezekiel Elliott back in the building, and what are your expectations for him?
Well, number one, it's probably as natural of a transition that you'll ever see. He walked in, and he has that unbelievable smile, and it's just like he never left. So huge personality in the locker room. So I know that was like I said, it felt like he never left. But he definitely puts you on guard, because he's old school. He's an old school guy, and he'll go up and smack a 60-year-old man in the ass, and it hurts. So I mean, there's those kinds of things that you just enjoy him. Enjoy, not that I enjoy getting smacked in the ass, but just enjoy his personality and having him back in the building and things like that. But no, he's but some things have changed too for him. The protection system's different. So he has some new learning, and he's been here. But it's been great to have Zeke back.
And then, are your expectations that he can still be the guy he was before when he was here?
I don't think that's fair. I mean, what do you mean? I mean, the guy carried the ball more than anybody in the history of football in the first couple of years. That's not going to be his role. We're running back by committee. But I think he'll definitely play at the level that he's played. I know my time here. I anticipate that. I don't see, any drop off in the way he moves. He's in good shape. The weight room and Harold and and frankly, he works out with Dak. So I mean, you're in tune with who he works out with and the type of shape that he was projected to be in, and that's held true. He's come in here and is, like I said, it's like he picked up right where he left off.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning. Have you ever had a running back by committee before?
Oh, absolutely. I have more experience with that. I think it's really the times that we're in. I grew up in the feature running back. You go back to Kansas City with Marcus Allen, and then I had Ricky Williams, in New Orleans, and then we had Ricky and Deuce McAllister. So those guys went to more premier. Frank Gore, I had him as a rookie. So 17 games, a lot of football. That's a big role for those guys. And I think just like anything, and hey, don't get me wrong, they'd all like to carry it like the old days and have those touches. But you want those guys fresh at the most important time of the year. So that's all part of planning and how you look at the projections of play time.
Is it harder because the rules have changed? Is it harder to get offensive linemen going now because you're not in pads and that kind of thing in comparison to maybe 2005?
Definitely. I think if of all the positions in football, the offensive line is cheated with this off-season program structure. I go back 10 years ago at least, on the Madden coaches committee, and there was never, ever one meeting where Coach Madden would not say, because he'd always refer to Andy, because Andy Reid, was a former offensive lineman, and he'd be like, Andy, how can we help these guys out? It's not even fair. Can we put them in boxing class, or what can we, what do they do in the off season and the restrictions in the training camp? So they really don't get to do the things that are necessary for offensive linemen to develop until you get through the ramp up stage in training camp. So I think it's it's why it's important, and you see these guys work together in the off season. I love it that we're in a place where not only our offensive linemen work out together here and across the street, but there's other linemen from there could be 40, 50 guys over there. So that part of it, as far as gaining knowledge and experience from others, and so they're able to grow that way. But from the functional training components of being in pads, feeling the speed of the stunts, and because stunts in games. And the talent of the defensive line, in my opinion, as a whole, is the depth is as deep as I've ever seen it. And just look at our division. I mean, if you don't have 4 or 5 number 1 picks on your D line, then you're probably behind the times a little bit. Just you look at the value, and market value of what is put on, put into the defensive lines in our league. I mean, it's a big challenge, and so. Those offensive linemen always, that's why training camp is just so important for those guys. It's important for everybody, but, that padded work is critical.
Saad
Yusuf, The Athletic. Mike, Cooper yesterday talked about the mental part of the transition to center as well, and how do you, especially with his predecessor not being in the building who had experience in the system, how do you kind of work with him on that to get all the pre-snap checks and all that kind of stuff? down?
Well, I mean, all these young men have, like I said, they've made a huge first impression, and I'm excited to see them, finish it today with this practice, and then we have some, rookie orientation programs here in the afternoon for them. And then obviously, they got to get ready for Mother's Day, and then that'll be tomorrow, and then they'll be in with the vets on Monday. But they've done a really good job in the preliminary work as far as the Zoom calls and things like that. But it's just like anything, can they apply it to the team drills? And Cooper's looked very, very good over the ball. His communication has been excellent. He's got that, that shit-eating grin, that you like to see. He's not we're walk through, but he's a good communicator. It's definitely not too big for him at all. So, but Monday's a threshold. This is the first threshold. You see what they know. Can they apply it in a controlled environment? That's a second threshold, and the third one will be, okay, now what's it look like when they get in there with the vets? So, but yeah, so far so good.
What's the process of that? Is it film work? Is it having the quarterback also be with you and kind of identify what he's seeing on the defensive front? How does that process
work?
Well,
it's all of the above. And that's why we do a lot of interactive, meeting time with each position. So yes, they have the ability to work on their own at night, and those guys have been doing that. So it's like I said, I've been very, very impressed with this group, and and I told him this morning, I says, every year you feel like, hey, you guys are the best group we ever had, and I would be very comfortable saying that to him. But I did tell him, I said, I have never seen one better, and so I do appreciate the amount of work that they did before they got here, because it has shown up here this weekend.
All the position flex that you have on the offensive line.
Great questions. What's what's going on here?
Yeah, it's abuse.
Specific flex that you have on the offensive line, is it more of a starting point, or is it something that if you feel?
Did you say the beginning of that again?
The position flex that you have on the offensive line. Okay. Is it more of a starting point and seeing how they respond, and could you flip them back to their original positions if you feel like that's more comfortable, or is this kind of how you want to push forward at this point?
Well, I think it's clearly how you want to push forward, because let's be honest, kind of the question early. You're really sensitive to the amount of time you have and the amount of reps that you do have, and I think it's really important, and not only just for the offensive line, but the conversations that we have as a coaching staff when we do reps for everything we do in phase 2, phase 3, is making sure we give these players an opportunity to make our 53-man roster. I mean, it's very, very important. And one of the questions, outside of the skill or our special teams skill players and the quarterback, every player on that roster needs to do two things, unless you're just a premier offensive or defensive player. So, because that's what happens when you get down to who's going to be on the 48. Player number 49, 50, 51, their special team responsibilities is what's keeping them off of the 48. So not only position flexibility on offense and defense, but how much can they do on special teams. So versatility is a word that was probably talked about as much as ever in the draft process, because you want to have as much flexibility as you can, and no different when you're talking about defensive line. Is he he's not just a big defensive end. Can he play the 3 technique? I don't know, but he can play the 4-eye. He's got to play the 4-eye. Can he play the 5? Can he play the 6? Can he play the 3 in sub rush? So you're always looking for versatility throughout for every position, because at the end of the day, it's a long year. Unfortunately, injuries are part of the game. And you need that flexibility as a coaching staff to make sure we're, giving those guys a good plan, but make sure we're, letting them utilize the tools that work for them best to be successful on Sundays.
You good?
I'm good.
You're good. All right. Nick?
Nick Eatman, DallasCowboys.com. Just one question. Your offensive line's going to have some competition this year, but it's also a spot where you want continuity as well. Is it tough to balance getting continuity there, but you're also rotating some guys in?
I know. I had to answer that question every spring, every training camp, and the goal was always, and I know particularly as a young head coach, because you did it that way as an offensive coordinator, it's like, God, I got to get those 5 guys. How much time can we get those 5 guys together? And frankly, maybe maybe set it a little too early because you were more focused on getting 5 playing together, and you didn't really let the right tackle battle play out long enough for the left guard battle play out. But times have changed, in my opinion. So you would love to see 5 offensive linemen start every game, and because it directly reflects history. Will tell you it definitely leads right into how many wins you have as a football team. History will tell you that. It's an analytic study that has gone on, I know, for decades. But look at the Eagles. I don't, those guys had a hell of a run of an offensive line playing together, every single week. But it's tough. Just look at our last 4 years. So we've been on the other side of the spectrum. So that goes back to the versatility. I just think you have to prepare that way, and that's just the reality of it. Because when you do have versatility, if you can make those decisions early in the week on a Monday, Tuesday, in a 7-game in-season schedule, you have a really good chance to make sure the guys are ready to go win on Sunday. But if you're dealing with that on versatility challenges on a Friday or a Saturday, guys get hurt or something happens later in the weekend, then it's tough. Because just do the math. Because if you're working at 2 positions all the time, or instead of 1 position, then now you got to plug in on a Friday. It's a bigger challenge for the guys.
Christy.
Christy Scales, Cowboys Radio on Fan. Going back to the bottom of the roster guys and their contributions on special teams, will the NFL rule change on kickoffs possibly affect some of those decisions in that it's closer contact and it's not sprinting down the field? So in terms of like body types and size.
Absolutely, I think the key, the answer in your question is body types. I mean, what body types are the teams going to use? That's what the special team coaches are. That's what they're kicking around right now. That's what they're working through. That's what, those are the conversations on, the special teams wise you're having in a draft room during a draft process, because it's definitely, because it's new and everybody has good ideas, and I think it's going to be exciting. But the body type strategy is going to be critical to me to the success of the coverage and in the blocking units on the kickoff phase.
But on the newness part of it, and will it stick around? Is that something it could affect this year, or you've got to wait and see if it's going to stick around?
You mean the rule change?
Yeah, because it is a dramatic change.
I know we've really fast-paced this and put it in without a trial and error phase, which is the norm. But gosh, I'd be shocked if it wasn't successful. Now, unfortunately, the success of it could be some teams may be on the other side of it, but it was needed. I just think it was such a wasted play. So, just in the numbers alone, I mean, it was 2010, it was 80% returns, 20% kickoffs, and then last year it was 20% returns, 80% touchbacks. So, that's a tremendous flip in action and activity, and the excitement of the play. So, I think that will be back. And I think if we can get it, frankly, if we can just get it to 55% return, I think that in itself would be. Because, this game's about big plays. You can't win in the National Football League if you don't make big plays. Offense, defense, and now special teams. So now you put the big play opportunity into special teams, and that it's more exciting for the fans. But to me, it fits into the fiber of what pro football is. I mean, you have to make big plays in this league to be successful. That's the facts. It's been like that forever. So, and I think as we've watched it the last 2 decades, particularly last decade, with the rule changes and the amount of space that's been created in our game, it's that itself leads to more big plays. So, I think the kickoff's going to be very successful. I'd be shocked if it wasn't.
We're running out of time, but
Okay.
David.
Yeah. Have you had a chance to look at the tape and analyze Micah's sumo wrestling techniques?
Absolutely, sure did.
And
the young man was 17 years old.
he was young. Wow. And also a guy like Micah, a guy like that. Players now have more opportunities to do those sort of things in the off season than maybe ever before. How much contact do you have with him? Because obviously he still has an obligation to the team and his continuing to perform.
Oh, no, we've been in touch. We talked about the technique of the experience that he had over there. So that was, but hey, I mean, think about it. Those are once in a lifetime opportunities. So I think any of our guys that have those type of opportunities to broaden their horizons. I mean, I'd be the first one to tell them to go.
Last one.
Okay. Just talk about working with Zimmer for the first time, and what's that been like, and also how much is his scheme going to help you improve with your run defense, especially because of the inexperience you have at tackle?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be more technique change than anything as far as when we talk about the run defense, focus. But yes, I mean, I've always had a lot of respect, for Mike from across the field. Frankly, actually, we served together. I talked about the Madden Coaches Committee earlier. We were both on that together, so got to know him some there. So, no, it's been great to have him here. I know the family part for him has been huge. So it's, I think that's really cool. But yeah, the defensive staff, I think they've clearly found their groove. The first couple of weeks, just like different when I first came here with the language change. Language change is always the toughest thing, especially for older coaches, because you're used to saying it a certain way. But it's it's his language, and everybody's been adjusting to that, and so players included. So it's been good.
And the scheme can make that much of a difference with run defense.
Well, I think technique, body types, all those things are we really got to focus on. But yeah, our technique emphasis is going to be different than what we've done in the past.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Head down to practice right